All right, so we're talking about expected value. You never expect to get the expected value. It's more of an average. So if I played this game a whole bunch of times, like let's say 100 times, and it's 20 bucks on this side, and let's say it's 10 bucks on this side, would you pay $8 to play this game? Yeah, no brainer. Would you pay 20? No, because you'd lose a lot of the time. So somewhere between $1 and $20, there's a fair price. Would you please calculate for me? Nope, no iPad, just in your head. Just in your head. Approximately, it would be fair price. You probably do it in your head pretty easy. It will be the fair price. The fair price meaning you're not going to really win, but you're not going to lose either. It's going to be exactly fair. Raise your hand if you think you have it. Quite a few of you think you have it. What do you think? 15, I agree with you. Can you tell me kind of what you were thinking when you did it? Yep, 50% chance of this, and 50% chance of that. Okay, go on. Perfect. You're doing exactly what I said. The probability times the amount. I'm just repeating what you're saying because the video can't pick you up. So you're timesing this times this. That's the probability times the amount. And then this times this, probability times the amount, and then you add them all up. So this one came out to $5 because it was 0.5 times 10, and that's $5. And this other one's 0.50 chance times 20, and that's $10. Add 10 and 5 makes $15. That's the fair price. Now, in the real world, would you ever pay that? No, because nobody set up a game to be completely fair. They just don't do that. They set them up usually to make money. So in a game like this, they probably charge like $17. And a lot of people that aren't that smart would probably think, I'm going to win a lot of times on this because it's $17 and I get 20. I'm going to make $3 so many times, and then, yeah, I'll lose some, but actually, they would lose in the long run. That's what the casino does. The casino would probably charge you $15.50. And it would seem like, wow, that's really close to fair, but it's actually tilted towards them just a little bit. So they make 50 cents every time somebody plays. You just keep adding it up and up and up, and they can make tons of money. All right, so that's expected value for that situation. How about for a warranty? You're going to buy this warranty, and your thing's either going to work or it's going to break. All right, and let's say we have a $180 iPod, and let's say the Apple Care on it is $35 Apple Care. Now, I'd need to know some things like how often do they work and break. Let's say we go with 90% chance of working and 10% chance of breaking. All right. Now we'd have to do P times A and then add it up. That's what you do always on probability, or excuse me, on expected values. The probability of it working, 0.90. What do I get? What's my amount I get if my iPod works? How about this? Would you agree that the company's not going to pay me anything if it works? And in fact, you could say you lose $35. So there's two ways to do this. You can either say you get 0, and then later on we can factor in the fact we had to pay $35 to do this. Or right here you could say minus 35. And the way the key is written, it's usually this way, where they say you lose the $35 in this situation because you paid $35 for a warranty, but you didn't get anything. So they say it's negative 35. I like that way. Okay, wait. Then there's probability of breaking, 10%. What do you get if it breaks? $180. But, because they give you a new iPod. But you get how you really don't get all of the 180 because you had to spend 35. So you take the 180, but you lose 35. 180 minus the 35 is actually 150, 140, 145. Then you take P times A, P times A, and add them all up. Get your answer. Right, that's the general outline, how to do this. We're going to do another one in your homework today, so I don't feel like I need to make you practice that more right now. All right, next one is life insurance. This kind of throws people off because they get confused. They think when you, if you win, so to speak, that's you living, that they pay you. That's not how it works, right? You don't get anything if you live. So, I mean, even though you kind of win, because, hey, you lived, you don't get any money. you die, you get money. So there was a example when I was in the Caribbean. It made me think of this guy who took his wife to Aruba, and she was they were scuba diving, and they were down really deep, and all of a sudden she ended up in some major trouble, like her mask came off and whatever, and she drowned down there. And nobody disputes she drowned down there, but the question was, what happened down there? Nobody really knows. And what happened right before they went on the trip is the guy took out a big life insurance policy on his wife. And so doesn't that make him look extremely guilty? Because he's down there with his wife, and his wife comes back dead from this trip. He gets paid by the life insurance company. Makes it look like he killed his wife for the month. So that's a tough one. They, in the end, I don't think they had enough evidence to convict him. But you know, one of the funny things is the life insurance company can still refuse to pay if they think that there's suspicious circumstances. So then they end up in a lawsuit with the life insurance company to try to, you know, they have to a different level of requirement for proof there, because their life insurance company doesn't have to prove he did it. They have a different level of beyond reasonable doubt. They don't have to do beyond reasonable doubt. They can just basically, is this suspicious circumstances versus reasonable doubt. Anyway, I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you there's different for criminal cases versus civil cases. Criminal cases, they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Civil cases, they don't have to prove it that high. They can just say, you know, beyond some other doubt, you know, like what a reasonable person would think. Okay, so for life insurance, I'd like you to try this one. Grab your iPad, open it up, make a little tree that's got, instead of works and breaks, it's going to be live and die. And if you live, they're going to give you nothing. In fact, you're going to just lose the money you spent on the life insurance. If you die, then they're going to pay out. Good question. I'm going to give you real numbers on this one. I have a policy for my kids, and it costs me $75 to buy this policy, and it'll pay out $25,000 if my kid dies. Now, why do I want to get paid if my kid dies? Because you actually do have some serious expenses when your kid dies, because you have to bury them, you have to have a funeral, you have to buy this piece of land to bury them on, that land has to be taken care of for the rest of the time. So basically, it's kind of expensive when somebody dies, just for putting them, you know, taking care of them. And it's really, really depressing if somebody dies and then there's no money to, like, take care of it, and all of a sudden mom and dad have to take out a big loan to pay to bury their kid. I mean, oh my gosh, it's just awful. So for 75 bucks, I bought this policy that covers, and I'm just going to keep it simple. It actually covers 3 of my kids, but I'm just going to say it's the same price whether you have 1 kid or 3 kids. But 75 bucks to cover my kid. I'll just do 1 so we don't have to make it complicated. And how much does it pay out? 25 grand. And then what's the probability, right? What's the probability that a teenage kid is going to die? Well, it's pretty rare, but you've probably heard of it. I mean, it's, you know, that's it. Feel like it's higher probability? Not 90%, you mean like 0.9%? Wait a minute. Okay, anyways, we're going to go back to what is the probability of a kid dying? It's pretty low. I'm going to say there's a 1% chance. In fact, it can't even be that much. I'm going to go with a 0.1%. It might mess with your head a little bit, but yeah, you're going to need 0.001 the probability of a kid dying. Okay, and then there's also on the other side of it, 0.999% chance that they live. So set up a little tree here for live and die. And remember, it's always probability times the amount you're going to get. And then add them all up. See if this life insurance is a good deal. Just for perspective, it is really cheap to get life insurance on a kid because you guys are very likely to live for the next year. Okay? The older you get, the more expensive it gets. To get a life insurance policy that pays out like $25,000 for my dad right before he died, I was actually checking into just for curiosity, how expensive is it for an old person? Well, I got the quote, and it was like $24,500 to buy $25,000 of life insurance coverage. So in other words, they would do it, but basically you had to almost give them all the money that you were going to get back if you died, because there was a very high probability that they were right. In fact, it was kind of freaky because he really wasn't sick when I was checking into it, and then like 6 months after I checked into it, he got really sick and he died. So, but they could tell by their life insurance tables and stuff, he had had cancer before, he had a heart attack before, he was old, he was 85. So the price is really high if you're old and sick. So that's why all the companies tell you to take it out when you're young and healthy, because you can buy life insurance and then keep it. You just keep the life insurance all the way through. Doesn't that mean you're going to pay a lot of years in when you're paying for a lot of years you probably don't need because you're probably not going to die till you're old? Yes, but then at least at the end you can get the life insurance still for the cheap amount you signed up for it. Yes, sir. It's true, but I think when you separate from the Navy, then you got to pay for it like for the rest of your life if you want it. And it makes sense. The military should have a way for you to get life insurance because it's obviously much more risky if you're in the military, and no life insurance company wants to insure people that are out in the battlefield. So, okay, I hope you made a tree that looks something like this. Live, die. And your probability of living, I think we figured out, was 0.999, dying 0.001. Now granted, it's probably not even that high. This is not a scientific number here. I just grabbed a number that's really small percent chance. If you live, remember it's P times A, and then add them up. If you live, you pay, or you have a probability of 999, and you get how much? 0. And in fact, you could even argue that it's negative what? Negative 75. I'm going to do this the other way where it's just 0, and at the end I'll show you how to figure this out. But it would have been okay to put a negative 75 right there. Next, 0.001 chance, and what do you get if it pays out? And here's where people screw up and they put 75 bucks. 25,000 is what you get. And again, I'm not going to figure in the cost of the life insurance to the very end. So I would understand if you put minus 75 right there, and that's an okay way to do it. Just showing you the other way. This one, when you times by 0, of course you get 0. This one, 0.001 times that, it moves the decimal back 3 spots. And that's 25 bucks. See, I kind of like it doing it this way, and now I can say that's what the life insurance is worth. P times A, then add them up. It's worth 25 bucks. How much did I pay for it? 75 bucks. So the difference is 50 bucks. So I'm going to lose 50 bucks by buying this life insurance. Am I for sure? No. Maybe my kid will die and I'll make money on the deal, so to speak. Although reality is, all those expenses from my kid dying, it's just going to use up the 25,000. But I'd be happy I had the life insurance. Yes. Well, think of it this way. This is what it's worth. It's worth 25. That's what it's worth. But then you subtract the 75 from it, minus the 75 you paid for it, means your expected value, if you buy the life insurance, is negative 50. And yes, this is exactly what an actuary does for a job. They figure out, hold on, they figure out for you how much should we charge this person for their life insurance. So you got a friend who's an actuary? Mom's friend? Mm-hmm. Yep, and actuary is a really interesting job. If you are really good at math, it's a pretty awesome job to get, because imagine what like those of you that take these math tests and you're like, I'm good at math, this is easy. That's pretty much what you do your whole life. You graduate from high school, you go to college, you take a bunch of math classes. You're probably good at them and get good grades, and then you go on and you get hired by this company, and guess what they have you do? Take more math tests. You have a series of 7 big math tests you have to take to be an actuary, and you take about one every year. So 7 years after college, you're still working for this big company, and you've taken these 7 tests, and during the meantime, you're working as an actuary, it's called, and you're helping set life insurance rates. They get paid well. They get paid about 3 times as much as what a teacher gets paid. Now, teachers are super highly paid, but you know, it's a pretty good income, and it's working for a big company, so you usually have good benefits and stuff too. So it's a good math job. All right, anyway, that's what they do, is they set life insurance rates kind of like this, except obviously much more complicated when it comes to this part. Actually, this other part's pretty simple. Once you know what the probabilities are, it's not hard to do at all. But it's the figuring out what are your chances of passing away that's the hard part. All right. So now let's talk about the reality of what you have to do on your homework assignment. I looked at the most recent homework assignment here, the one that I'm assigning today, and it's called 12.4 Worksheet B, and it looks something like this. Let me read it up a little bit. Everybody, why don't you find it on Schoology so you can actually just start your worksheet with me right now. All right, so find worksheet. It's the worksheet that's assigned today, which is the 30th. So look for the one assigned January 30. The assignment from yesterday that we graded in class, you should save to the cloud and drop in the Dropbox, yes. Because that was a graded one. Those are especially important to put in the Dropbox. Nope. All right. So now, here's your first question. And remember, if I were you, I would be thinking every single time I have a problem about expected value, that there's going to be a P times the amount, and then you're going to add them all up. Okay, just keep looking for that. Look for what's the probability, what's the amount I get, and then when you're done, add all the situations up. Usually it's not just 1 or 2. In this case, there's a whole bunch. There's this situation, this situation, this situation, and I guess it's off the screen there, that situation for section D. There's 4 different things you're going to have to add up at the end. So that's like 4 separate little problems. All right, so what is the probability you're going to find a ticket that is in section A, 0.16, times the amount you will get for that ticket. What is that ticket worth? In section A, they're worth 35 bucks. So there's a 16% chance that you'll get one that's worth 35 bucks. Then you go to the next section, and there's a 24% chance you'll get a section B ticket, and that ticket is worth 30 bucks. So you got to keep doing that for all 4 situations. And you do P times A, and P times A, and then P times A, and P times A, and then add them all up. Okay, I'm going to tell you at the end, it's going to come out to a decimal, and would that be the actual value of that ticket? No, it's an expected value. It's like a, isn't it? Are you sure it comes out to a whole number? Okay. Right. But I betcha that that answer is not one of the things that's actually possible. In other words, in the real world, you're going to find something that's 35 bucks, 30, 25. It is one of them. Okay, maybe this is the wrong time for me to give that example. You shouldn't expect to get the expected value, but in this case, the average comes out to one of the things that's actually possible. All right, let's move on. I was pet time to give that example, but it's usually not going to be the expected value number that you'll actually get in the real world. Okay, moving on. This one, it is interesting. There is a slightly different probability of boys being born versus girls, but whoever wrote our worksheet this time messed it up. It's backwards. There's actually more boys born than girls. Yep. Not by a high amount, by a very small amount. There's slightly more boys born than girls. And my theory is that it's sort of nature's way of making up for the fact that guys die young. They die typically 5 years or 7 years younger than girls do. So otherwise there'd just be way more women than men around. because the guys die younger. And so if there's slightly more guys born, it kind of makes up for it. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but back to, what would you do on this one? The girl probability they're saying is 0.52. And it's backwards. And this is 0.48. I'm not going to write that in on every single line because it would drive me crazy. But I'm going to do probability times amount and add them all up. Remember, that's how these work. The probability of a girl and then a girl and then a girl is 0.52 times 0.52 times 0.52. Or I could do, grab my calculator here, 0.52 to the power of 3. And it's 0.1406, which I'm going to round to 0.141. Now here's the weird part. That's the probability, that's easy. What's the amount? It's not money in this case, it's amount of boys. In that scenario, there were 0 boys, that's right. So the amount is 0, because it was girl, girl, girl. For the next row, I'm not going to do all of these, but I'll do the next one for you. You'd go 0.52 times 0.52 times this one, which I haven't written, 0.48, and 0.52 times 0.52, calculated here, 0.52 times 0.52 times 0.48 is 0.1297, which I'm going to go 0.130. That scenario has how many amount of boys? Put a 1 there. So I would times that probability times 1. P times A, then add them all up. Once you're done getting this amount and that amount, and you'll have, there's going to be 8 different amounts here. But there aren't that many problems on this worksheet, so that's the good part. When I'm done, I do P times A and add them all up. That will be your expected value of number of boys after having 3 kids. All right. The next one has making a tree diagram, so that one's going to take a while. I feel like this assignment's a little bit on the long side, so I'm going to make your life just a little better and ask you to skip number 4, which will save you a fair amount of time. So you can skip problem 4. The other one is one that I think I remember seeing on tests sometimes, so I don't want to have you skip number 5. And number 6 is a good real-world example of buying a camera. And, it's like one of those insurance plan deals, and that happens a lot in the real world too. So 4 is a good one. Not many of you are going to play a dice game with your brother that involves winning money, so you can skip that. All right, get to work. If you need help, I will be glad to stop and help you